This is a place.
This is the place?
This is a place. We want to talk about. This is a place.
Welcome to this week's episode of This is a Place podcast. My name is Nate.
My name is Brandon.
And we would like to wish you a happy International Mountain Day.
Hey, there we go.
Yay, yo.
Mountain Day. Is it mountain or mountain?
Mountain.
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 That's
Mountain.
right.
There's no T. Mountain.
There's no T in mountain.
Mountain.
And there's no T in Mountain Dew. Which is the real reason
Ooh.
I want to talk to you about mountains.
Well, you know they're changing their cans, the logo again, right?
I did hear this.
That's definitely going to up the sales. They're going to put Pepsi back on the map.
Is it going to make Nate appreciate Mountain Dew more than he does? Because you said some pretty nasty things a few minutes ago.
I did not say nasty things.
Yes, you did. You said Baja Blast is just Mountain Dew. They're all the same. Every Mountain Dew is the same. It's just punch.
No. Mountain Dew is Mountain Dew, which is great. Like, I think I've told you before, I can drink Mountain Dew faster than I can drink water. So I can just drink it. It just, I don't know how to explain it. It
Just
just
like
goes
fresh
down so
mountain
easy.
spring water.
It just goes down so quickly. But when you have the flavored Mountain Dews, I feel like they all kind of blend in and taste the same. It's like you're putting some sort of fruit punch into Mountain Dew.
Yeah, you're so wrong for that, man. You're so wrong.
But then again, I'm pretty tainted from my fruitcake Mountain Dews.
That's true.
I wonder if there's any hanging around
I'll
my
give you
garage or
that.
something.
Those were trash.
But they all kind of taste
But
like that at the end of
no,
the day.
no.
That one stood out a little more because I think it had a little hint of cinnamon or something in it that made it taste
Extra
like it
nasty.
just tasted like a melted Slurpee.
You don't appreciate Livewire, which in my opinion is
I
the
like it.
best Mountain Dew.
Is that the orange one?
hmm
Yeah, I would agree. Back when my Sodaholic days, I remember having a lot of that.
And then you've had recently Baja Blast, zero sugar. So zero
Uh-huh.
sugar, that is one where I can really tell it's zero sugar between the two. I mean, I think they
Okay.
do a pretty good job with zero sugars. When I have the zero sugar Baja versus the normal, there is a very big difference. So maybe that's
Interesting.
the problem. Maybe that's why they all taste the same to you, because you're getting the same formula with just a little bit of.
Because isn't Baja Blast at the end of the day just Mountain Dew mixed with Blue Powerade?
Is that no? I don't know. Is that what
Yeah,
it's supposed to be?
yeah, that's what it is.
Really?
I'm sure it is.
You lying? What? What? I don't even know what the flavor is of Baja Blast. The other ones, when they release them, they say what the flavor is, but what is Baja Blast?
What is Baja Blast made of?
Tropical lime? Interesting. I don't know. I think they all taste different. They all have their distinct
Here you
flavor.
go. To make Mountain Dew Baja Blast, just mix 2 cups of Mountain Dew and 1 cup of cool blue Gatorade.
But it's tropical lime. Maybe no, it's not tropical lime. That must be a new
Just
flavor. No, that's what it is. Baja Blast
yeah,
is
just
tropical lime flavored. How can you say Blue Powerade is not tropical lime?
because you already got the lime from Mountain Dew.
Yeah, the lime, but the tropical is not. That can't be blue. It can be Blue Powerade.
There's even a TikTok on Baja Blast copycat recipe.
We'll deliberate and we'll let you guys know.
Or people can let us know. Oh, okay. She has Mountain Dew, Sprite, and Powerade Zero. So that gives you more of your lemon lime.
Okay.
Anyways, I'd say that it's kind of like, have you heard people say if you mix 1 part Coke and 2 parts No, 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 no. 2 parts Coke to 1 part root beer, I think. That it tastes like Dr. Pepper.
Really? I have not heard that.
So there you go.
When we eventually launch our YouTube channel, these will be the things we can explore, Nate.
Yes, eventually.
Until then, we have a very special episode, all prepared by Nate himself, about an urban legend.
Hours of preparation.
Hours of preparation and study. Tell me how you found out about this event, Nate.
How what?
How you found out about this event that we're talking about today.
So I've got this really awesome assistant, does a lot of work for me, and sometimes I make my assistant work till early hours of the morning, late at night, on call 24/7. And I call this assistant Chat GPT. So yesterday I was like, what we's gonna do for an episode? So I asked my assistant to give me some ideas and kept running some ideas. And then the assistant came up with, this is what the assistant said. We're bringing you a story about a winter prank so big it practically guaranteed a white Christmas. Buckle up because we're about to dive into the chaos of a Salt Lake City winter in the 1920s. So what happened? You're wondering.
It's a true story.
It has to be because it's on the internet.
Can you find any
Why would
sources?
my assistant give me a fake story? It
Good
doesn't
point.
make any sense.
You know what?
Like I didn't make this up.
I have no more
So
questions.
no more questions,
Let's do it.
just answers.
All right.
So Salt Lake City in the 1920s, a city on the rise, by the way. The Jazz Age was in full swing. Maybe that's why we're called the Utah Jazz. The Great Depression was still years away, and the streets of downtown were filled with life. But for all its hustle and bustle, winter in Salt Lake could sometimes feel, well, a little less than festive. Sure, the snow would come, but it wasn't always the picturesque. How do you say that?
Picturesque.
Picturesque? Picture. I almost said picture K. Picturesque. Winter wonderland we dream of at Christmas.
You know, it was often more of a muddy Christmas than a white Christmas, with roads turning into slush by the end of December. It was especially hard for those hoping for a picture K holiday season.
Yeah, because that's where a group of local pranksters stepped in. These were not your everyday jokesters.
Nope.
No, these pranksters had a plan to make Christmas a little whiter than it had been in years past.
Sounds a
They
little
decided to take
racist.
matters into their own hands and bring the snow to Salt Lake City. We need snow by dumping trucks loads of it on Main Street. Please cue the sound effects. Okay, so picture this. It's a chilly day, December night in 1920.
A chilly day, December night.
It's a chilly day. Chilly dog. All right, it was a chilly December night in 1920. Main Street, one of the most iconic thoroughfares in downtown Salt Lake City, is empty, save for a few night owls walking in their favorite speakeasy or a late night cafe.
Sounds just like Salt Lake in the 1920s.
But how do they talk in the 20s? I tell you, I don't know.
Ah, we were walking to the
Hey
speakeasy, see?
guys. But a group of Salt Lake's finest troublemakers has a different plan. They were going to make sure everybody woke up to a white Christmas, whether they wanted it or not.
Right. They didn't just wait for a snowstorm to hit. They actually created one. Where did they get the snow from? There wasn't snow, but somehow they went and found all this snow.
hmm
Okay. According to local lore, the pranksters hijacked several snow trucks and drove them to Main Street overnight, dumping piles of snow all along the road.
It said by morning the downtown area was transformed. The streets were blanketed with a thick layer of snow, thanks to a handful of trucks and a lot of mischievous energy. Because We all do. Some people were delighted by the prank as it created the perfect snowy backdrop for their holiday shopping. But not everyone saw the humor in it.
That's
And
right. While some residents loved the unexpected snow, others were less than thrilled. Imagine waking up to a winter wonderland, but also to the mess and inconvenience that comes with it. The streets were blocked, the snow had to be cleared, and it disrupted the daily routine of a city that wasn't quite used to this level of festive chaos.
hear the sound effects.
I can't believe I have to remove all this snow.
What does the sound of a snowplow make?
Did they have snowplows in the 1920s?
For me, it sounds like somebody's dropping a steel beam in the middle of the road. All right. So as you can imagine, there were mixed reactions the next day. On one hand, it was a great visual for the holiday spirit. Who doesn't love a white Christmas? But on the other hand, there was the logistics of actually having to deal with all that snow. City officials were not pleased, and the pranksters, well, they probably had a good laugh at the chaos they created.
Interestingly, it didn't end in a major scandal. In fact, the whole thing almost seemed like a one off, a playful stunt that left a mark on local folklore. It's the kind of story you hear over the years, passed down through generations. People still laugh about it today. In fact, my grandma was just telling me about this story the other day.
Yeah, and if my grandma was alive, I'm sure she would be telling me too. Because it's a reminder of how, even back in the 1920s, Salt Lake City was full of life, creativity, and a sense of humor. Those pranksters weren't just causing trouble, they were shaping the stories that would live on in Salt Lake's history. Oh, again, cue the sound effects.
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
While we may never know the identities of the pranksters who pulled off the 1920 snow stunt, their story lives, our story lives, sorry, story lives. Their story lives on in the city's unofficial history. It was one of those quirky events that make Salt Lake City so unique. And it's a great example of how people have always found ways to have fun, even during hard times.
And honestly, what's more Christmassy than the spirit of giving, especially when that gift is unexpected snow in the middle of Main Street?
Background music again, please. How does music swell?
Look at open. I don't know.
Anyways,
Mwah.
feel it. Beep, 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 beep. Well, that's all the time we have today to share the story of the 1920s Salt Lake City snow prank. We hope you enjoyed this little piece of Utah history. And if you're ever walking down Main Street during the holiday season, maybe take a second to think about the pranksters of old and who wanted to make sure everyone had a white Christmas.
And if you got any other stories of quirky holiday events here in Utah, we'd love to hear from you. Happy holidays, and remember, the best memories come from the most unexpected places.
Okay. The end of the story. The story we never knew about, the urban legend, the history, the 1920s pranksters.
That is probably 100% true.
It has to be. If not, that's a crazy awesome story that my assistant made up. Or did did he, she? Well, I don't know what.
They, them.
They did they make it up? So I want to know. Maybe somebody does like, oh my goodness, my grandma and grandpa have been telling me this story forever. It is true. So if you
I did
have
some quick Googling and I didn't come up with anything.
yeah,
But
that was kind of the fun part because I was like, really? I kept asking Chat, like, well, it's like I couldn't find any. It gave me
was
like two links, and I like pulled up the links for pictures of it, and I couldn't find any pictures of the links. And I'm like, did this really happen? Can you send me an article? And it's like, well, I can't find.
it was like
I'm like,
backtracking, like
how did it come up? That's the question. It had to get its data from somewhere, right? So That's my question is how or where did it grab it from?
That is a curious. Yeah, I just
So
never
either
know.
we're starting a new legend, a new story that we'll tell every Christmas season for the rest of our lives, or maybe we should be pranksters. What would happen if we did that today?
We go to jail.
Just go dump snow.
Like, oh, here's just a couple snow plows we can find, and let's hijack everybody's Monday morning.
When it originally asked gave me like the topic idea, I thought it was mentioning like maybe like they just not necessarily snow, like it was maybe like the fake snow or confetti or something. That would make more sense because I would
Well, they
say,
didn't
I
have
mean, right
access to that in the
now,
1920s.
what's that?
They wouldn't have had access to that in the 1920s.
What do you mean, confetti?
No, I mean just like a,
That's only
a
fake
massive
snow,
amount of anything.
right? And to have trucks, snow trucks or something like that.
It does say that snow plows were commercialized, became widely used in the 1920s. So that checks out.
Okay, fair
But
enough. But like if
the
we wanted
fact
to
that
pull off the,
they had all these trucks they were able to go find and wrangle up to push the snow
well, well,
from
here's the deal
where,
too.
I don't know.
If it wasn't snowy, maybe it was cold enough, but
You could go to the mountains and get the snow,
well,
but
that's what my point was going to be. Like right now, like we have zero snow on our grass. But if we were to go up to the mountains, we could fill up my truck with snow and head back down and make a pile in my yard. Maybe even enough to build a snowman. But on the other token, like if you painted the town white with fakes or with snow, real snow on Main Street, you really shouldn't get upset as a citizen or whatever because it will melt if it wasn't snowing already,
that's
especially if
true.
it's in the street.
That's
Like,
true.
but I guess they couldn't get their horse carriages through the streets if there was
Yeah,
100 years ago, right?
that's true. So they did used to use horses to move snow in the 1840s. It's kind of cool. There's pictures of that, but not pictures of this snowy day in on Main Street in the 1920s. But I do love to go look back at old pictures of Salt Lake in those older years. Yeah, we would be in big trouble if we tried to pull off a stunt like this today. I mean, some guy, like, what if we took a snowplow and drove it through a car dealership?
I've only seen the clip. I don't know what the outcome was. I'm assuming
um,
they arrested the guy.
Pretty sure he's in trouble. I don't think you can do that. Maybe in the 1920s you could get away with something like that.
Do you I think before it was called Discount Tires.
Isn't it still a discount tire?
No, I think the name before, or maybe something local. Anyways, it is Discount Tires, but do you remember the commercial where the lady it says, "Hey, if you're ever
Oh,
dissatisfied with a tire,"
throws
and she
the
throws the
tire.
tire through the. That's
Yeah,
what that reminded me of. And the kid's like, "Oh, call the cops."
they
Here's because I
encouraged
guess
it.
is he mad because he bought an as is car and it didn't perform the way he thought it would?
Yeah.
So
So
I
they
guess
it was a dealership. So maybe if you had that issue, you could throw your car through the window of a big or what is it, discount tire? But you just can't drive through it. I don't know. You just can't do it. Luckily he didn't kill anybody. It'd be worse if he killed somebody, but sadly, I don't think we have the resources or the I'll even say motivation to pull this prank off. And in the 1920s, maybe there was just a few people at the speakeasies, as it said, but there's going to be some watchful eyes in Main Street today. You're not going to get away with a mass prank like that. So don't get any ideas, anybody.
well, it's overall, I think pranks are getting, like you just said, I mean, there's eyes everywhere. So you can't do pranks very
No.
easily like you could back in the old days. Well,
Well, thanks for tuning in to This Is a Place podcast. Be sure to subscribe, share with your friends, and catch us next time for more wild stories from Utah's past. Until then, stay warm and maybe keep an eye out for snow on Main Street. You never know when history might repeat itself.
And this was a prank we just talked about.